Hello Stablebucks and welcome to yet another video. Now, you might realise, different layout, I'm still in Lincoln, don't worry, I'm just testing out spaces with lighting and stuff, you know, all the stuff that you don't really care about, so I shouldn't really be babbling on about it. I'm testing with it. Which leads me on to another thing which I hadn't planned, like the rest of this video. Obviously, the whole reason I'm here is because uni's starting, and while I could work in this with uni and make it all sort of nice and easy and seamless, this year, actually counts, so you might notice the content for whatever there isn't on here decline a wee bit, but that's fine. I'm still alive, barely. I'm just not active on here. Maybe just all I'm saying is don't be surprised if I don't upload, as if you care anyway. I don't care. Anyway, what am I gracing your screens here with today, you may ask? That's a good question, because I'm not too sure. No, I do know. It's something that's been niggling me for a bit, and when I say a bit, I mean like a week or so, or you know, a few weeks, at least 6 weeks. We are currently sort of approaching the end tail for the third series of Rick and Morty. It's not Doctor Who, what the fuck? And with Rick and Morty comes that fan base. Oh yes, that ever-loving, passionate fan base who everyone seems to love. Or do they? Spoiler alert, they don't. Especially me, I don't. You might have noticed with Rick and Morty fans that their whole thing is intellect and being intellectually superior to everyone else. They are one of the few fan bases who, if you don't like the show, they will accuse you of because you're not smart enough to get it. And I am here to shut all that shit down. The reason why Rick and Morty is such a smart show, because it is to a level, is because it includes, you know, stuff like philosophy and nihilism and existentialism and all those sort of themes, and includes it in a silly wacky comedy thing, and they both seem to go together like they're, you know, two pieces to a jigsaw puzzle, which, you know, wouldn't really work without. It makes you sort of think that they are inclusive when you watch them, and that's brilliant writing, you've got to admit. But let's make this clear, just because someone goes on a ramble about how life is meaningless and because how we're all gonna die, that's not brain melding, that's basic. And yes, another thing that a lot of people commend Rick and Morty for, and I commend Rick and Morty for it, is its inclusion of character development and character arcs and relationships with characters being infinitely complex, but that doesn't make it an intelligent show. That makes it a good show with, you know, basic writing for characters. And just because it's a silly adult cartoon doesn't exempt it from having those standards, which may be surprising with, you know, Family Guy and all that Seth MacFarlane Shartsland. I just thought of that literally then. I'm proud of myself. I mean, The Simpsons done all that, and yes, The Simpsons is highly commended, and it's still going on all these years after that, and that's part due to the reason in its early series, that complex writing with relationships and character arcs and all that. And now, just because those writing standards are being applied to a show about a scientist, which is a smart job, it's being the most mind-bending, mind-boggling show, which is only for, like, Oxford standard intellects, apparently. And if you're not an Oxford standard intellect, you can, you know, go and... But as I say, that doesn't make it incredible, that makes it good. And just because you, like, put some nihilism in there, have a bit of Nietzsche in your script, doesn't make it good. It makes it a good show, but not a superior intellectual show. It just makes it a good show. And if you're aware with Rick and Morty, you know Rick Sanchez, he's the big old nihilist who everyone loves, that lovable old... The person everyone loves to hate, or hates to love, you decide. Look at my face, I'm pasty white. Dear God, I'm like a canvas. But I've seen people who are, I doubt, are over the age of 15, being like, oh yes, I'm the Rick of my friendship group, I'm so intelligent and everyone's beneath me. And, you know, they've got this sort of arrogant, egotistical thing, which Rick does have. Those are traits he has, good, and he does put himself as the most important person, smartest man in the universe and all that. But think about Rick's character if you watch it. He's an alcoholic, depressed figure who has abandoned his family, has no friends, and drinks himself almost to death every day. Is that really a character that you want to associate yourself with? What you're saying is, I'm like Rick Sanchez, I'm a total arsehole. Even being a Morty, even calling yourself a Morty, I mean, because that's the whole point of Rick and Morty. That is what makes the character writing so good. Not so good that you're above everyone else if you like it, but good enough that it's good, that none of the characters are absolutely perfect, that they all have flaws within themselves. And you see that with the Toxic Rick episode. Rick is manipulative and, you know, aggressive. Morty is very self-conscious and suffers from anxiety, and that is brilliant character traits. They're not ideal character traits. Those aren't supposed to be character traits that you want to identify with. They're just good characters. And I've seen this happen before. It's not just a Rick and Morty exclusive thing. Sherlock, stuff like that, just because he uses long words, it's not really a genius. If you actually watch it, you could say, oh, I could have guessed that, and half of it is fucking bullshit. Like the first episode, that really sticks in my mind when he says, oh, you can see he's an alcoholic because the phone charger hole has lots of scratches around it. You never see those marks on a sober man's phone. As like, yes, you do. It's a small hole. I do it all the time. Even before I started drinking, before uni life, those scratches were there. What you've got to remember, these aren't geniuses. These aren't philosophers writing these shows. They're writers. And if these shows, if Sherlock and Rick and Morty was like sort of patented towards the genius, they wouldn't get many ratings. That's the whole point of a show, to want to get ratings. You're not going to get those ratings if you only aim at the genius of us, that 1%. You want to like aim it to the masses. You want to make it understandable, but make the people who watch it feel like they're intelligent, because you're using science and philosophy and long words, which apparently has worked so much that a load of them have turned arrogant. Which is important, as a last note, to remember when you're watching shows. Just because you like a character does not mean that you condone their actions or you want to be them, or at least it shouldn't. So yeah, that's a ramble on why you're not as smart as you fucking think you are, you pricks. I'll see you next time, whenever that may be, for some more rambles. Maybe on topic of what I usually talk about. Maybe a bit swiggly swoo off the charts. Who knows? That's the half of the fun of this channel. You don't know what you're gonna get, apart from this beautiful mug. I'm going on too much now, goodbye. I can smell weed. Who's having a smonk of the devil's lettuce?